Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is my deepest honor to welcome our most special guest, Swaminathan Gurumurthy ji. He is known for doing multiple things, and I don't know which one of them is more better than the others. He's been the guy who's taken on anybody and everybody that was doing wrong to the country head on. He's known as a fearless thinker, a great orator, somebody who is deeply patriotic and nationalistic, and is the co-convener of the Swadeshi Jagran Manch, along with being the editor of Tughlaq. And his belief and deep spiritual inclination can be known from the fact that he vowed to not take up any political position on the instructions of his Guruji, on whom he says he found God. And it is my greatest honor to welcome someone of his stature. So, welcome to our podcast series. I know I'll be in a little bit of a trouble because the theme of the podcast is ancient wisdom, modern journeys. But you just explained to me that modern has a very wrong connotation, that modern means the abject of everything which is traditional. So, our intent is not to, in fact, take away the traditional, but the theme of the podcast is to actually learn from all of the wisdom. And who better than you to help us understand the relevance of all our wisdom and apply it in modern success. And sir, I've had the privilege of hearing you, so maybe I'll start with one leading question and then we'll roll on into the conversation. So you said something very, very profound. If in the last 20 centuries, for 17 of these 20 centuries, India was the largest contributor to the world's GDP, in spite of us being 2.4% of the world's landmass and 1/6 of the world's population. It's just in the last few years that, or last few centuries, that because of colonization, we've lost that wealth and that prosperity. But now is the time for us to rebuild the prosperity. I want you to delve deeper on this subject of our nation, our past glory, and what we are doing is not trying to start from zero, but just get what was ours and how we as a people are fundamentally wired to be successful.
See, our greatest contribution to the world is in terms of sustainability.
Okay.
First, no civilization, no people, no nation has sustained for so long. So, sustainability is the very important index of the durability of a civilization.
Okay.
That is why this study of world economic history was taken up by the OECD countries in the year 1983-84.
Okay.
How it happened, I'll tell you. Everybody thought that India was great in terms of culture, literature, arts, music, spiritualism, but it was an underperformer in economics.
Right. People called us the Hindu rate of growth.
All kinds of things.
Yeah.
So, we were called a semi-barbaric people by Karl Marx. Max Weber said only entrepreneurship can become successful in modern capitalism, and that requires individual initiative, and that requires freedom, that requires individualism, which only Protestant Christianity promotes. And he compared it with Catholic Christianity, and he found all Protestant nations were growing fast
Okay.
and Catholic nations were
Not
falling behind. So he was right, because for 30 years he studied those civilizations. But he wrote 2 books on the religion of Hinduism and the religion of Buddhism, where he said these 2 nations, India and China, will never come up economically because they believe in karma and rebirth. And so they are not capable of producing wealth. So this is how Karl Marx and Max Weber were the greatest influence on Indian academia, policymakers, media, intellectuals. So we were convinced that structurally we cannot perform.
So if I may
There is a
interject,
structural weakness.
what was their correlation between karma not leading to prosperity?
Because karma means you say that you are destined for it. So where is the individual initiative?
Okay.
So rebirth means that you are like this because of your past birth.
Right.
If a society believes in all this, where is the individual initiative? There is individualism.
Okay.
So these two guys wrote us off, and they were the greatest influence, according to many researchers, on all aspects of Indian discourse. These are our IAS officers, IAFS officers, our academic institutions were trained. So on this basis only, uh, Professor Raj Krishna said in 1978 that we cannot achieve anything better than Hindu rate of growth because no capitalism, no communism can give us any lift.
Right.
Hinduism will decide what should be our great. But in 1973, the General Agreement on Trade and Tariff had mandated Paul Bairoch, one of the most well-known economic historians, to study the economic history of the world from 1750 to 1900. He came out with the finding that in 1750, India's share of world GDP was 28% and China 34%. So these two countries had 2/3 of the world's GDP.
GDP.
And England and America's share was just 2%. Europe could not take it.
Take it.
So they decided we will have it redone.
All right.
And on that basis, the French intellectuals were always for putting down the English and Americans. They said, you accept now that Asia had a much better standard of living than us in the 17th and the 16th centuries.
Right.
And you don't say that you are the great and all that.
Yeah.
So the English people are so shaken. They constituted a development studies institute through the OECD countries, and it was headed by Angus Madison, the greatest economic historian ever. Of course, he was given all assistance and things like that. Angus Madison researched for 18 years. And when he started the research, he said, I fault Paul Bairoch's methodology and he cannot be correct. And I will prove he is wrong. This is how he started the research.
Okay.
But he ended up endorsing him.
With the same conclusions.
From the first year of the Common Era till the 16th century, India was the leading economic power of the world. China equaled India in 17th century and bet India in 18th century. And both were beaten in the 19th century by others. They crashed to 8% jointly. And England and America raced from 2% to 41%.
Okay.
Angus Madison concluded that this shift happened because of colonial exploitation. But I am surprised even today the Indian academic institutions or scholars, our teaching, our media is not expounding this. So when I taught in IIT, when I told about all this, it was news to them. In between 2011 and 2014, for 4 years, I taught in IIT Bombay Management Institute. So that there is inherent capacity in India, and that capacity was tempered by non-aggression, non-violence. We never did violence to one another.
Right.
We never did violence to nature.
Right.
And we never did violence to any other civilization or country.
Right.
But still, we were a prosperous nation.
Right.
This is something which we need to know first to think that there is a performing potential in India, which was actually demonstrated. But the colonial literature, colonial propaganda evangelized us into believing that we are incapable of performing. They are the better performers. They are this, they are that.
And so the modern philosophy assumes that success must come by domination, but India actually showed, like you were saying, for 16 centuries, that you can be prosperous without domination. And the theme of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which to many today sounds like a utopian concept, actually existed for the better part of 2 millennia, and it actually worked, right?
You see, you have to look at it not only from statistical perspective or economic or any particular domain or silo. You have to look at the totality of India.
Okay.
That we had a functioning society, functioning economy, functioning state. We had a functioning civilization. For example, from Indus Valley days, the Great Bath is related to Kumbh Mela. Imagine 5,000 years, the people believed in collective bathing. 5,000 years. There is a continuity in our civilization, which is denied to all other civilizations. No civilization is as continuous as our civilization. Swami Vivekananda said that the earth trembled at the beat of the Greek army and the Roman power. Spider weaves its web where the Caesars rule today. If you want to find out what is the Egyptian civilization, you have to research under the pyramids.
Right.
But you can see in India, Swami Vivekananda said, if Vedavyasa came and wandered around, he will find some of the things which he saw at that time even now.
Right.
That is the continuity.
Right.
The dress our people wore 5,000 years back, there are many who are wearing even today.
Right.
5,000 years, the phonetic sound of Vedas has been kept alive even today. The Encyclopedia Britannica says that the Indus Valley civilization is a homegrown civilization unrelated to the Babylonian and Egyptian. And its origin and today's India are relatable. It says in this respect, in this respect, in this respect, in this respect. A civilization which has this amount of continuity has had no disturbance till Alexander came. Alexander was the first disturbance to India.
Okay.
That changed the strategic mind of India and produced Kautilya, and our state model changed, our war model changed. We had a regular army, we had a taxation built as a taxation system, and that resulted in India building a state, an empire, which equaled what we call as the Greco-Roman model. But the Greco-Roman model was again gifted by India, according to Edward Pocock, who wrote a book in 1820, saying that it was India that built Greece because the Greeks were not Europeans. Their forefathers are known as Philosophes. And Edward Pocock himself is a Greek. He says the word philosophy takes them and relates them to Phalasodesha in Bihar.
Okay.
From Bihar, they migrated and went through. Wherever they went, there is a tradition of Mahabharata, Ramayana, Ganga traditions are there. It is they who built up the civilization. And he said that Greek mythology is not explainable without reference to Hindu mythologies. And Greek language, where it is a derivative, because it doesn't have its own grammar. So it is a derivative, it is derived from Sanskrit. And the idea of naming rivers and mountains, considering them as sacred and naming rivers after women, this is all an Indian tradition, it is there in Greece. So the British suppressed this book.
Okay.
This is how we were conquered to think, because Macaulay wrote that we Anglo-Saxons are the direct descendants of Greco-Roman civilization. These are all semi-barbaric people. We have to teach them how to be civilized. If this book had come out, he could never have made a claim because we are the mother civilization of their mother civilization. This was later confirmed by a research by Thomas Machiavelli, who is an American Greek. He did research for 30 years to write 30 chapters of a book called The Shape of Ancient Thought.
Okay.
Where he said precisely how the pre-Kautilyan India exported to
Greece.
That is that is Alexander period is called the Hellenistic period.
Okay.
So the pre-Hellenistic Greece imported from India. and the post-Hellenistic Greece exported to India. The strategic thinking which Kautilya integrated in the Arthashastra is as a result of his encounter with Alexander in Takshashila, about which the Pakistan government website explains. Now, what is the import of the pre-Hellenistic Greece from India? It is explained beautifully by Thomas Machiavelli. As I said, he himself is a great scholar and a Greek himself. This book was published in 2001. Motilal Banarsidass has printed it in India. Of course, it's printed outside by others. So, Machiavelli said, whatever Plato and Socrates spoke, there is no research laboratory in Greece. The research laboratory existed only in India.
Back in India.
The Vedas, the Upanishads, the Puranas, all the concepts like the Brahman, the self, the realization, all these concepts are there only in India. And so this is what Plato and Socrates took.
Right.
But after Alexander, they began exporting their strategic thinking, and which Kautilya captured. But what it means is, there is, I know at least there are 500 books on how the Greek and Indian civilization exchanged.
Right.
That's all completely kept out of the academic, intellectual discourse of India.
So, sorry, go ahead.
It means that we are talking in utter ignorance about our country, about the world.
Right.
It is the interregnum. What the white did, when they began conquering the world, they conquered the world they conquered the world to convert the world into Christianity. This is called eschatological belief, that the entire world should be converted into Christianity, then only Christ will come. Christ made it a condition that I will come back, provided you turn the whole world into Christianity. Many people do not know this. So this urge to transform the world into Christian world is what promoted colonization.
Okay.
And that is why Columbus set out to sail to India and landed in America.
In US.
Because he thought that to come through the eastern route will take a very long time. So he wanted to take a shortcut to India through the western route, and landed in America and called it West Indies. But actually he wanted to come to India to eliminate Hinduism, which is delaying and preventing the return of Christ. So you can understand the colonial thrust when they went there. Of course, they are also human beings. They ceased to be Christians and they became capitalists. So that is how they conquered the world economically and politically, and threw Christ away and embraced money.
So that brings me to the point of capitalism. You said something very profound, that the Indian entrepreneur or the Vaishya is nothing but capitalism minus dharma. Can you please elaborate on this piece? Because I think a lot of our listeners are actually young entrepreneurs, people wanting to look at the next 30, 40 years in India for their career. And the role model for all of us appears to be the entrepreneurs of the West, whereas we sometimes underappreciate the wisdom of entrepreneurship that has been in our society for thousands of years.
See, Indian civilization for the last 5,000 years has always been centered around one great question. What is life for? Which no other civilization asks this question. What is the
life
idea
for?
of life?
Right.
Individual and collective. The collective idea is called dharma. Dharma is the ecosystem we create for good behavior.
Right.
But the individual is a beneficiary of dharma. So there is an interlocution between the individual and the collective. So dharmo rakshati rakshitaha.
Right.
If you protect dharma, dharma will protect you.
Right.
So we gave importance to the collective, whether it is the family or the community or the nation. So Mahabharata explains it beautifully. Tyajet eham kulasyarte gramarte kulam tyajet. Gramam janapadasyarte atmarte prithvim tyajet. The beautiful verse. Says an individual yields to the family. Otherwise the family will not exist.
Right.
The family yields to the community. Otherwise, the community will not exist.
Right.
The community yields to the nation. Otherwise, the nation will not exist. But one man need not yield for anything, and that man who is willing to give up the whole world.
Right.
We respected him.
Right.
We respected people who gave up everything.
Right.
So, people who had, we want money, we want name, we want this, we want that, we considered, and we were prosperous. As I said, we also prospered.
Right.
And our trade, you must read the Greco-Roman history when Pliny, who was the finance minister of Rome, he bemoaned in the parliament that I see only Indian ships around
How do I go
looting
about?
our gold. And so much gold is going out of
Roman Empire.
Rome. I'll tell you another important document. The Bank of International Settlements, in 1934, they published the first report in which they said between the 14th and 19th centuries, India accumulated 15% of world gold supplies, which means that was the export surplus of India. Because in those days, everything was paid in terms of gold.
Right.
And ancient records show that India has been a great manufacturer, trader, but it never went and conquered anyone. So this alignment, how it came, it respected people who did not want any of these things. So because there is always a question, what am I earning all this for? So the Vaishyas earned all this.
Right.
They said, we are earning this for the entire society,
Right.
not for myself.
Right.
And this quality I am seeing in many Vaishyas even today. Because I move with the Vaishya community much more than any other professional does.
Right.
I know Ramnath Goenka was one of the closest friends of mine. He used to stitch the kurta, torn and wear it. I have seen Jayadayal Dalmia, one of the richest industrialists. He had only 4 kurtas and 4. That's sufficient. They never earned for themselves. They earned for the society. Wealth is for the society. It is for dharma. That is so huge charities were run by businessmen all over. Nobody published it. The left hand should not know what the right hand is doing. Right. That is our dharma. So, the Vaishya in India is different from capitalist.
Right.
A capitalist is Vaishya minus dharma. So if that spirit is not there, then there is no difference between our Vaishyas and the capitalists. And of course, you see many capitalists in India.
Right.
Everybody ultimately was intensely glued to the idea of dharma. Whether it is family, whether it is woman, whether it is community, whether it is... Even religions were inferior to dharma. Religion is a way of worship, but dharma was a higher value. For example, Sikhism, Jainism, Buddhism, and if you call Hinduism a religion, all of them accepted Sanatana Dharma. Then all ways of worship was there.
Right.
But Sanatana Dharma was supreme. So, dharma was the guiding factor of India, whether it is the king or the papa. And in fact, there are many researches you can go and Google in AIA. Which was the most popular word in India when the colonists came? It was dharma. It was widely shared. Whether a man is educated, uneducated, whether it is rich or poor or powerful or weak, they all understood the idea of dharma. This is because of hundreds and thousands of great spiritualists moving from one end of the country to the other, making people understand they have a higher purpose. No, I'm not just a student of economics. I also do research in economics. All societies which believe in rebirth have a higher savings rate. There is a study by one Bobsworth. You can Google and get his study. It's a beautiful study. He was Brookings scholar.
Okay.
In 2007, he came out with the paper which I am telling you now.
Okay.
He compared the American savings with the Asian savings.
All right.
He said American savings is personal.
Hmm.
The Asian savings is dynastic because the Asians save for their grandson.
Yes.
Nobody saves for himself. This is wealth building.
Right.
If Americans borrow next year's money and spend this year, they are
Where's the
not
question
building
of
wealth.
saving? Yeah.
You know, 68% of the Americans only own houses. 84% of the Indians own houses. How many people know this?
Wow.
We are one of the highest home owning population in the
In
world.
the world.
It is because the first object of a family is to have a house.
And secure the family.
And in America, 68% of the families have their houses, 63% of them on borrowed money. And house is not sacred, it is considered home equity.
Yes.
There is no sacredness attached to anything. There is no sacred river, there is no sacred mountains, there is no sacred person. You know, in America, there is a study by Pew Research Institute in 2020 about the political division in America between the two parties. It's a political polarization is so deep that there is hatred. 60% of the one party's families will not marry into another party's family. It was 6% in 1960. They said they hate each other. Families are split. Husband and wife are parting. Father and son are splitting. Brother and sisters are not talking to each other. Purely on political grounds. So Pew Research dealt with this. It said all democracies have their polarization and America has also its polarization. There's nothing great in it, but there's a problem in America. There is no common binding factor in America other than bipartisan politics. You know, Italy has 30,000 canonized saints.
Okay.
Every street has one.
Right.
In America, there are only just 3 so far. In 1774, 1. In 2002, 2. All 3 women. There is no sacred person, there is no sacred mountain, there is no sacred river, there is nothing sacred. America is a real estate. That psychology will not fit into India. That psychology is a short-term psychology.
So it seems like that psychology has made them decisive and prosperous by current means of measuring prosperity. And what lessons should we learn, if any,
You
from our
read-
past and then for our future to be prosperous?
That's why I'm saying in India, we will have about 10% of Indians living like Americans.
Right.
That's all. We can live with that America.
Right.
It will not pollute the rest of America, India.
Okay.
Swami Vivekananda said, these great nations have come and gone, living a few hours of exultant and of exuberant dominance and then vanishing like ripples on the face of waters.
Okay.
You see the history of civilizations. They have come and gone. Where did they lost? Where is the durability? Because if you are living a day to day, month to month, year to year, life to life,
Right.
then you are a short termist. You know, previously you used to have annual balance sheet, then you came quarterly balance sheet, then you have overnight interest rates. Overnight interest rates decides, intraday dealings decides the mood of a nation you can understand how we have become short termist. In 2008 crisis, they went very deeply into why the crisis occurred. It is because of short termism. Why China succeeded over America? It is because of their long termism. So, the more the society is long termist, it will be the winner. But in short term, somebody may shoot up and come down. But they are not the model. You must always look at the model which has lost it. Not at the model which is like Deepavali. I mean, crackers burnt,
Crackers
it's over, next day
Next day
silent.
morning you are silent.
We are not also, positing a role model. Must have some logic.
Right.
What is the logic you have for America to be the role model?
No, I'm not saying America is a role model.
Any
Okay, the logic would be, sir, they are the best in technological innovation, let's say, over the
It is
last...
not their technological innovation. It is the technological innovation of the immigrants. What is America? It provides the institutional base for it. It can shift. After all, see, I forget the name of the fund manager who met me in 2015. He came from America reading my writings and said, I want to meet you.
Okay.
He came through Mr. Sinha, I forget his first name. He was the, at that time when he brought him, he was the India equity head of Credit Suisse. And the man, he came open necked with his wife and he said, Mr. Gurumurthy, you are the first person in the first city and India, this is my first visit, I am meeting you. And he explained his investment thesis.
All right.
He said, I manage $1.3 trillion and $600 billion is the high net worth individuals. The balance is sovereign funds. And you know what is my investment philosophy? I said, I don't know. You have to tell me. He said, I don't invest in a country, I marry a country.
All right.
My investment, average investment is 30 years. Of course, I also invest some part of it in corporate bonds. He mentioned Tata bonds also. And he said that Europe is over, America is plateauing, only Asia is going to last.
Right.
In which he said China will be very unstable. And India looks unstable, but is probably the most stable civilization in the world.
Okay.
You see how they look at it. They don't look at the prime minister, they don't look at the parliament, they don't look. How a society has sustained itself.
Over a long period of time.
So he said, of course, he came to me for his advice and also whether he can participate in his business. He said his first, each tranche of investment is $25 million, which many small scale industries will not take up in India. Can you be my retailer or advisor? I said, no, that's not my business, I won't do it. What I'm saying is philosophy of investment. So you must understand we are long-term players. Don't compete with short-term people. A man who is running a marathon race should never compare himself with a sprinter who runs
100 meters.
100 meters. So we have a very different purpose. These are all nations which will come and go. I mean, I don't give. I'm someone who studies history, culture, civilization, economy, politics very deeply. I don't give America more than another 20-25 years.
And sir, if India were to become the Viksit Bharat by 2047, as we say, what would be your top 3 suggestions for budding entrepreneurs?
See, first they must understand that the current grammar is not going to work. For example, I would rely more on the purchasing power parity,
All right.
which is more representative of the standard of living of the people,
Agreed.
than the financially inflated GDP.
Agreed.
In that we are already third.
Right.
In America, if you look at the purchasing power of the people, it is not the own purchasing power, it is borrowed purchasing power.
Right.
Ours is own purchasing power.
Right.
You look at China, it is one of the, for example, its housing debt is one of the highest in the world. That means America is now the communist version of capitalist America.
Okay.
Because they are also becoming spendthrifts. Of course, they also save, I am not saying.
Right.
There are 2 Chinas.
Okay.
One, quote unquote, the modern American China, which is splurging.
Right.
And the traditional China, which is saving.
Right.
But you look at Japan. Japan has followed America in dress, in business models, everything. But you know, 51% of the American Japanese savings in bank deposits, which give negative rate of return.
Right.
Why?
With
They
this,
don't invest in stock market.
they're still saving for the future. They don't
So
mind
each civilization has its own economic model.
Right.
So don't copy another civilization, don't compare yourself with another civilization. American housing debt is $10 trillion. And we have 84% home ownership without debt.
Right.
What would you consider prosperity? You consume, well, 60% of our GDP is consumption.
Right.
America is 63%.
Right.
Nothing more,
Right.
3-4% more. But American savings is backed by, American consumption is backed by borrowing.
By borrowing.
You are not. Your savings to GDP ratio is 30%.
Right.
So you must compare these fundamentals How we have a balanced economy. They have an unbalanced economy. Their corporates are in debt. Their government is in debt. $36 trillion is the American debt. It was just $7 trillion in 2005.
So, but it still seems like the juggernaut is ongoing for them, isn't it?
No. It is only because the other nations, the world has not come to terms with the non-America led world. Now Europe is beginning to recognize. Because now Trump is teaching everybody how to live without America.
Okay.
Everybody was running after America.
Right.
Now he says, no, you can't, I will not do anything. Then people will begin to learn to live without America. That's what is happening. Now Europe is thinking of a countervailing tariff.
Right.
After Narendra Modi decided that he will not toe the line of Trump,
Right.
Japanese who had promised to invest $500 billion
$500
in
yeah.
the where Trump wants, which company, which area,
Right.
they signed and came, now they are not implementing it. Korea is going back upon it. So the whole world in this now looking at how these 2-3 guys are going to handle America, Europe, India, Russia. See Trump's contradictions. He is fighting transatlantic friends and befriending Russia.
Russia, yeah.
It is America which pushed Ukraine into war.
Yeah.
Now Trump says you will cede 20% of your territories.
To
He is
Russia.
my good friend.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't believe he has completely shaken the whole world's faith in America. So an isolated America, however much it has land, water, dollars, whatever. Of course, it's dollar. Most of its dollar is domesticated outside America. $25 trillion is the amount of dollar domesticated outside America beyond the control of the US Federal Reserve System, which can buy almost half of America. A dollar which was admired has become a dollar which is enforced. You can see the difference.
Yes.
If you move out of dollar, if somebody has to say this, that means dollar is not wanted. It's
Yeah.
an untouchable currency.
If it was wanted, you wouldn't have to say it.
So there is a huge change that is taking place. The consequences of the change will work itself out. So wait.
Okay. So, sir, I come back to the 3 advices. The first advice you gave is do not blindly copy the model. Look at long-term history of your nation.
Even long-term history of yourself.
Of yourself.
Be a long-term. Don't benchmark yourself with short-term success.
Fair enough.
For example, somebody makes huge money in stock market. Let him make it. Say we should have gone to stock market. Why are we in this damn business? Don't think like that. It's not wealth that is important. This is where the Indian mind is different. You cannot turn yourself into arithmetical competence.
Right.
Durability.
Okay. So, durability is first
Durability,
point.
long term.
Long term. Okay. Second advice, sir.
Never change your lifestyle. You
Okay.
can stop the import of goods by levying tariffs. But if you change your lifestyle, your family life is destroyed. Divorce rates go higher. And women become wokies. Then nobody can save your civilization. Don't change your lifestyle. And have confidence that a civilization which has lasted for 5,000 years is not going to collapse.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
These are the 3 pieces of advice.
These are the 3 pieces of advice. Okay. So, on the third piece of confidence, there's something very interesting that you were again saying earlier today, that for a long period of time, we've always looked up to the West for inspiration. And if we look at ourselves and our civilization, and if we feel proud about ourselves, that confidence will come and project itself. And you were also talking about the scenario that before Alexander and Kautilya met, even at the times of war, we projected our confidence in a very, I would say, calm manner, in a very civilized manner, right? Can you expand upon your thought of what confidence should be? Should it be the kind of calm that we had before in the way we fought battles before Kautilya and Alexander met, or the ones after? What is this projection of confidence supposed to be?
See, our civilization had always ambivalence towards power and violence.
Yes.
what should be the amount of violence permitted? What should be the amount of accumulation of power to be allowed? That is why they divided our Varna Dharma itself is for distributing power.
Okay.
The man who acquires knowledge should not have money or power.
Right.
The man who has power should not have knowledge.
Right.
The man who has wealth should not have power or this. The man who owns the land should not have. They divided it. It is some kind of
Balancing, checks and balance.
balancing of what can lead to one dominating the other.
Okay.
In this, the state was needed for intermediation. In fact, our Krita Yuga, in Krita Yuga, it is said there was no state needed because everybody knew what was right or wrong. So I mentioned Nadando, Nadandosi, Nadandidaha. So there is no one to punish and so no. But it changed in Treta Yuga. Rama came. And Rama's rules of war was that when the enemy is in difficulties, ask him to come next day and fight.
Yeah.
But in Dwapara Yuga it changed. Krishna said if the enemy is in difficulties, kill him.
Right.
Because he changes the rule of war to say that a person who does not follow dharma is not entitled to the protection of dharma.
Right.
But somewhere this ambivalence was always there.
Right.
That's why we were caught when Alexander came. We didn't know how to fight. So Kautilya changed the rules.
Okay.
This Dharma Vijaya concept won't work. Dharma Vijaya concept means that you have war, you will not have war first. If you want to win, then you have to conduct one yajna, everybody will come. Those who come, they have accepted you as the Chakravartin. So you will not have war at all. Next, if somebody wants to have a war with you, let's say you want to have a war with me, I defeat you. I cannot take over your kingdom. I have to restore the kingdom back to you. This did not build an empire. It built only multiple sovereignties. That multiple sovereignty made us weak before Alexander. So Kautilya felt that we must have one sovereignty.
Okay.
That's why state, then revenue system, then regular army, and then he prepared Chandragupta Maurya, and then Ashoka. So for 1000 years we had a powerful kingdoms ruling
Right.
India. And even Shakas and Hans who came at the time were digested people. They became the Rajputs. But our own people began dominating one another. That was not the original model.
Right.
So, Kadambari Bana on Bana Bhatta, he wrote a drama where he, without mentioning Alexander Kautilya's name, he criticized him as an adharmi who has spread adharmic thoughts.
Okay.
He delegitimized Kautilya all over North India. And even his Arthasastra books disappeared.
Okay.
Only one copy escaped in the Danjur Saraswati Mahal library. And in 1909 that was donated to Mysore Maharaja library and it was translated into English in 1913. So in this period, the shift that Kautilya made was, valor is not important, victory is more important. What is the use of valor without victory? But if you look at Mahabharata also, whether it is Arjuna or Bhima, everybody was for their valor. I will kill the person, he will say he will kill that person. Pandavas did not plan for their victory, Kauravas did not plan for their victory, they only planned killing each other. It was Krishna who planned for victory. He sent Kunti to tell Karna, you are my son, to shake his confidence and then get his kavach, and then said, don't launch the Nagastra another time, because he was planning victory. So Krishna was the strategist who planned the victory of Pandavas and not Pandavas. So valor is not important. Victory is important, was Krishna's thesis, which was adopted by Kautilya.
Right.
After Kautilya, then valor returned. Rajput said, if I put one foot forward, I will not go back. So they got defeated. 17 times this fellow showed his virtue. Prithviraj. He collapsed. Because the strategic sovereignty which Kautilya had expounded, we lost.
Right.
Chhatrapati Shivaji came. He restored the balance. And he said victory is more important than valor.
Right.
And he changed the rules of the game.
Right.
That's how India had always a problem with violence and war.
Right.
I think it is now coming to terms with the base strategic sovereignty, strategic way of looking at things. That's why of course, the independent India was a disaster in 1962 after we lost the war. Mrs. Gandhi restored the strategic approach of India in 1971, Bangladesh war, and then she exploded the first atom bomb in 1974. And then Vajpayee made India a strategic power by Pokhran atom. Of course, Narendra Bhai has given a more strategic orientation to India. So, we are now becoming strategically equal to the West. But we are not violently equal to the West.
So our confidence, sir, requires victory more than valor.
It certainly requires victory, but not at the cost of dharma. Even Kautilya, he expounded victory, but not at the cost of dharma.
So sometimes people mistake dharma with valor.
No. Valor is an individual virtue. Dharma is a collective virtue. There is a difference. Dharma has a collective goal. Valor is an individual. There is nothing called a valorous society. There is valorous individual.
Right. Okay. So sir, coming back now, tying this back to the people that we have. We've spoken of how we should look at the past, how we should look at the future, the advice that you have for the future generations. Basis the great things of the past, how victory, valor, dharma are all correlated. It brings me to one more point. A lot of people believe that the reason why we are here, which is the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam conclave and the exhibition, that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is a little bit of a, if I may say so, pie in the sky. It's not realistic. It's something that is very, very idealistic and utopian. But a lot of people do believe that it is not idealistic, it is not utopian, it is something which can come to reality. What is your thought behind that, sir?
It is not that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is to be attained. It is a living reality in India.
Okay.
I explained how in 2.4% of the global land area,
Right.
18% of human population, 30% of bovine population, 42% of the cattle population, and 8% bioresources, birds, animals, they live together. 3.5 times the size of India, America. There's only 1/5 of India's bovine population. How? What is the secret? What is the method by which they did it? It is because we use our entire agricultural land, which is 1/10 of world's agricultural land, for cereal cultivation. Cereals give you 83% of the calorie value and 63% of the protein value. Meat gives you only 17% of the calorie value and 37% of the protein value. We eat less meat and more cereals. It is not that Indians are all vegetarians. 2/3 of India is anyway non-vegetarian. For us, non-vegetarianism is a subject. America eats 128 kg per head per annum meat. India 3.1. Let's assume all Indians decide to forsake the Indian food habit and go to American habit. We will need 6 times the agricultural land we have.
Because they have 40x more of our consumption per capita.
They feed the animals with 800 million tons of cereals. That is, they feed cereals which give 83% of the calorie value to get 17% of the calorie value in meat. And it gives you 10 to 100 times the CO2 gas emission.
Right.
So, because of that, all these animals could live. So, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is not human beings only. It is animals, it is birds.
It's
And we have
everything.
21% forest coverage. If the whole world adopts India's food habits, it will need only 40% of the agricultural land it uses. So, is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is not a functioning reality.
That's very deep and very, very profound.
No, it's a fact.
It's a fact. It's a fact.
If you
It's
want to
not-
look at the statistics,
Exactly.
if you want to look at the facts, I'll give you the data source, ourworlddata.com.
No, no, sir. I'm sure the point is that we've never looked at it that way. You know, a
But
lot
if you
of
don't, because, you see, the problem is you don't know about India, but you are judging India.
so guilty as charged. We are not as aware as we should be, and I think as we become more and more aware, I naturally believe what you said, that the confidence and the pride that we'll have in ourselves will go up.
First of all, if you know about yourself, you will be able to look at others from your perspective.
Right.
If you don't know about yourself, you will look at yourself from others' perspective.
Right.
That's what is happening.
Right. Sir, couple of last closing points. In terms of the technological innovations that we are seeing now, radical changes are, I mean, obviously one can argue that people have always said when the typewriter came that the jobs will be lost, the world will change, and then when computers came, the world will be changed and jobs will be lost, and then when internet came, that it will change, and now with AI people keep talking, right? And probably it's a technological revolution that keeps coming every couple of decades. But now with the technological revolution coming, and you spoke a little bit about that the technological edge that the West has ultimately comes from brains, which is best of our brains going over there. Now if I tie all of these and triangulate this, for the next 20-30 years as we look upon building something great, and you often quote Aurobindoji that the rise of Asia will be on the ruins of the West. What are the practical, tactical lessons that we must learn and we must invest in for greatness over the next 20 years?
See, on balance, I don't look at only technology or economic development. I don't look at any particular silo to say which country has potential strength. The greatest weakness of the Western nations is the society, families. They are over. What are you going to do with technology? Society is weak. Our society is strong. Ultimately, it is the society that constitutes the national power. And this is going to increasingly, because when the Americans are going to more and more repel against the brains coming. For example, Steve, you must have heard about Sridhar Vembu of Zoho. I mentor him. His idea is ultimately to challenge Microsoft. And he has built a business model. Of course, we work together. And he has not given one share to any fund. He has not taken 1 rupee bank loan. He has a cash balance of 11,000 crores. Because his business model is that his profitability, he has gone into products, he is not a services. And his profit margin is 10%, 15% more than his competitors. You know why? Because all these software businesses, their cost is decided by two things. One, labor, and another, real estate. He decided that he will build his software companies in Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4. From there only people come and work in Mumbai. So if I go to his Tenkasi facility, I will see some 1,000 scooters. People from nearby villages come, work and go back. Their families are intact, their housing is intact. And the salary which they get is so sumptuous for them. So he has been able to cut down the labor cost. He has been able to cut down the real estate costs. And he is plugging back all this into R&D. And some of his R&D program, not to be revealed. In another 3 to 4 years, we should secure our cyber security completely. What makes him do it? It is the civilization consciousness. He goes on cycle. He goes by auto rickshaw. He doesn't want anything. He wants to see this country created. He wants such. If you look at how American industrialists built America between this First and Second World War, you will be stunned. People who were making toys began making aircrafts.
Right.
That is how America became a superpower. 100 American businessmen made America strong. We need far less Indian people.
So you are amongst the few people, and I think, and now a lot of, at least, the Honorable Prime Minister also started talking, the power of entrepreneurship and business is in making us great. Otherwise, for a very long period of time, wealth creators and entrepreneurs were looked upon as chores and people who were doing a disservice to society. But I think there is a very good and a great need for entrepreneurship to go hand in hand for nation building. Don't you think so?
You see, entrepreneurs were turned into chores by the state policies itself. In fact, I had a talk with B.K. Birla. I asked him how you guys took to black money. He said till 1950s, how the Marwadi community was. I was stunned. He said, they used to give gold coins for the Bahu who comes. At gate they will give these. He said, we never used to give gold. We used to give only that 10 anna, whatever. Once this tax rate of 70%, 80% came, we began building black money. And we began investing in gold. That is how business investment turned into gold investments. And we became spendthrifts. Our lifestyle changed. Marriages at home became marriages in 5-star hotels. Nominal marriages became 5-star marriages. And so, theft and lifestyle went together. And then that turned against the nation. Then you began buying. You were first buying gold, then you began buying politicians. You began buying the state, and Ambani emerged. This is how it happened.
Okay. But ultimately, sir, like you said, the US was built by 100 entrepreneurs. You strongly believe that 50 great entrepreneurs can build a Viksit Bharat?
50 young, patriotic entrepreneurs in India can transform India in 5 years. The perceptions about it.
And so, what are the qualities that you would like to see in these entrepreneurs?
Undoubtedly, commitment to their country and civilization. The country is not a piece of land.
Yeah.
And I think that the society is an open area and maintain the lifestyle or philosophy or way of life. It's like the Japanese, they wear suit and go outside, and when they come back, they hang the suit outside the houses like you remove the shoes and go and sit on the floor and eat. They don't have a sofa, a dining table. They said, our culture we will preserve. We will do the drama of acting like that spirit you must have. The Japanese spirit. That will make you a business warrior. You will not be a businessman. You will be a warrior for the country. Once that happens, that becomes a movement. Afterwards, chores will be looked down upon. It is these people who will be looked up. Just like Sridhar Vembu is being looked up like.
Sir, but a lot of entrepreneurs today can be classified into two categories. One category is of large industrial houses who, let's say, been there for 50, 60, 70 years, second, third, fourth generation wealth. Or the second class of what I would say new age entrepreneurs. A lot of the risk capital for them, and Mr. Vembu is an outlier, I would say. A lot of the risk capital comes from the Western world. I mean, now undoubtedly more and more of risk capital of Indians is also coming. But sir, if you look at it, they are broadly in these two camps. Now, what would it take to create people in the third camp, like you said?
That's what I'm saying, you don't need capital. You need to only put in your effort and begin making profits. But you are thinking that if I bring capital, my profit will go up by 10x. That's wrong. That's where you compromise on your capacity to grow. All Sridhar's peers, they went for funding and things like that. Sridhar goes by ordinary car, so nobody in his ask for Mercedes.
Right.
Cut down the cost. And he has created normative employees, not just professional employees. He has changed the culture. He doesn't want engineers. 20% of his recruits are SSLC, whom he trains
Right.
into this. So your business model has to change. You should not follow the route. Somebody asked me yesterday in a IIT Pan India meet, one gentleman. We are now going by the beaten path. What is the innovative path? I said, if you want to go to the innovative path, you must go to Ludhiana, Batala, Rajkot, Jamnagar, Morbi, and Surat, and Tamil Nadu. You must go to Coimbatore, Karur, Namakkal. You must go to these places. How some people began building deep bore. Well, they bought it and then replicated it, and then they began producing it. And then now they have taken contracts all over Africa and other places. A small village. It has become an exporter of this. And they still wear dhoti and go around. They make a lot of money. You must never lose the purpose of your life. So that kind of entrepreneurship you will see when you go to these places. But if you are in Bombay, you don't have good experiences.
Right.
So I would advise you to go to these places and see how entrepreneurship is budding there. And in in Morbi, which is one of the richest places, nobody borrows. In fact, they don't take goods on credit. They pay cash and take cash discounts. And one language that they do not know, you will be surprised, is English.
Yeah.
You've gone to Morbi?
A couple of times.
They are the innovative people.
Yeah.
It's not that those who take money from risk capital and all, they are not taking risk capital. And they are exporting Ajanta wall clock all over the world.
Yeah.
How?
And so they
They have emerged as the ceramics capital. How? Study them. They made money from the business and invested it.
Yes.
That's the difference.
And so the amount of capital that they invest in new plant and machinery sometimes dwarfs our minds in terms of what we think of doing from
Yes, you must go to these places and read. You must go to Coimbatore, how they are launching on to the defense manufacturing. Bangalore, you see, if you take the highest per capita income, it is not Bombay, it is not Delhi, it is not Calcutta, it is not Bangalore, it is not Hyderabad, it is Morbi. How? It is the place with the highest employment rate in the world.
In the world?
Yes.
Okay.
Nearly 65% of the people are employed.
Wow. And that gets me to the last question, sir, before we end. You also spoke a little bit about how entrepreneurship is in the very genesis of our civilization and not service. And I think it's very important for more and more Indians to become job creators versus people seeking jobs, right? Some insights from you on that aspect.
You see, you look at the employment statistics of India. 70% of Indians are self-employed. What does that mean? What does that mean? Tell me.
So, but some might say that in that you are even considering a person who's collecting your clothes and a person who's selling roadside food.
Gentlemen, a washerman is self-employed or not. Whether he collects clothes from your house or you go and deliver it to him.
He's self-employed.
That's what I'm saying. A barber is self-employed or not.
Yes, self-employed.
That's what I'm saying. Self-employed in India. See, for example, the hawkers. Are they self-employed or not?
Yes, self-employed.
The people, 13 crore people who have taken money in Mudra loan, are they self-employed or not?
Self-employed.
But you want them to get employed? India is not a country which can be a country of employers and employees. If it were a country of employers and employees, it would have had a communist revolution. Because it had self-employed people. It was neither capitalist nor proletariat.
Sir, but is that why we are socialist?
No.
No?
You see, these terms do not fit us.
These are Western terms we are trying to fit a...
It is their homegrown responses to the homegrown problems.
Okay.
We had no such problem.
Right.
So I import that idea. We had no capitalists. Why are you importing capitalists? We had only Vaishyas.
Right.
We have self-employed people. Why are they turning them into workers?
Right. Okay, so thank you. I know I would love to continue this conversation, but I know we're a little short of time and you have a flight to catch. Once again, on behalf of all our viewers, I want to extend one of the strongest possible thanks to Guru Murthy sir for his profound knowledge in diverse areas, not just economics, geopolitics, society, history, civilization. On behalf of the entire team at Jyoth and Vasudeva Kutumbakam 4.0, I thank sir. Sir, any closing remarks once again for our viewers? And I'm going to take, if possible, maybe an off the record promise to get a couple of hours of your time every single year so that we can go to people and our audiences with your thoughts, because there's nothing better than for young minds to get thoughts which make them enlightened, awakened, and feel happy about their own nation and their own civilization.
You take it as your mission to meet such people. It's not only me.
Right,
There are many. I mean, Sridhar Vembu is one.
right,
Another person who has done marvelous work in the media field is Arnab Goswami. Meet them and take their life experience. They are people of the kind of spirit I talk about. They are the people who live those spirit. You make their experience speak. See, it is only experience shared that will be inspiring,
right,
not knowledge.
right,
So you make it a point that you won't do podcast of all and sundry. You will be very selective.
right.
Then you communicate a message that when Siddharth does podcast, there is this direction.
Yes, sir, we'll keep that.
Give your podcast a brand like that.
Yes, sir.
It's nation building people
Right.
whom you will do podcast with.
Certainly,
That
sir.
will be
We'll keep that in mind. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you once again.
Thank you.